Yeah. I'm not sure if we just went live or not because I'm new at this. So I had it scheduled. But this is Future Fantasy Football. But everything we just did is recorded for the podcast. Have no fear. Everyone else viewing on YouTube, don't worry. And now I'm echoing on myself. Am I the only one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's lovely.
So this draft has went exactly like I thought it would. And when I picked the 106, I would hope one of those 5 guys slide, not expecting it.
Right.
In real life, Deshaun Watson would be my guy here, but I think his entire offense is going to be on the injured reserve by the end of the year. So I'm going to buck the mold and stay on brand with my boy Dak here, liking that quarterback format. We'll give it a shot.
I like it.
Okay. So we have McCaffrey, of course, 1, Mahomes 2, Barkley 3, Zeke 4, Lamar Jackson slipping to 5. Dak going at 6 by Dan. He is a Cowboys fan, but then again, I don't think that's crazy. And we're sitting on Burl, and he's live making the pick.
Yep.
Travis Kelce, tight end.
Yep. So I found
I like it.
Yeah, through most
Yeah,
of
I
my
think it's a
mock,
good
when I
pick
go
there.
tight end in the
He's
first.
got a good shot at being the tight end one, and I think in the format that could be a really great player to have.
Yeah,
Man, guys, I was stoked. I thought I might actually be able to sneak out Kamara here at the 109, but I think with Dalvin Cook being my next ranked running back, there's just too much risk right now at this moment. I'm going Kittle.
So tight ends are very popular early here.
You know what I've noticed about the elite tight ends? Their careers, when they get hot, they go like 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1 until they fall off a cliff. And like even the best wide receivers, unless you're Antonio Brown, they just don't do that.
Yeah, I was on the clock. I was hoping to get either Kittle or Cook. Neither one made it to me, so I will settle. Wink, wink for Michael Thomas.
Yes, this is a shocker of a move.
I feel the same way.
Wait, George went wide receiver in the first?
I know.
Yes.
I'm floored.
Back up. Dalvin Cook, 5th running back off the board. That's where he would normally be if maybe not for holdout news. I guess we like it.
I think he's probably playing more likely than not.
I would have took him the very next pick if he was there. So I can't say nothing bad about it.
Okay. Justin, on the turn here, going back-to-back running backs with
almost
Chubb
every
and Derrick
single
Henry.
mock I've taken Kittle and Dak. So it was interesting to see both of them go before. As we get closer and closer to the Scott Fish Bowl, it's really scaring the pants off of me. Like George, I'm really worried that they're not going to be there, and then I'm not going to know what to do. So this is good for me to see what could happen.
So I was hoping to get Derrick Henry there. The last mock we did, I took Devontae Adams in the first round, and now I'm staring at him in the second round. I did 4 straight wide receivers last mock. I think I'm going to shake it up a little bit, though, and I'm going to go quarterback here.
Russell Wilson on the board.
That's the quarterback I was looking at right there.
Well, then I feel glad
guys,
I took him.
You do have a minute and a half to make these picks.
All
No
right.
one's going to get a chance to say anything about them. You might have to use a little bit more than 10 seconds. Just going to say. All right, so Deshaun Watson went off. Ben took him. He was someone I was looking at who, I mean, if you name the most accurate passers who are above that 66.7%, completion rate to break even on the points versus completions and incompletions. If you name out who those quarterbacks are, I think there's only 8 of them or something. Maybe even only 6. If you list out who they are, would you have had Deshaun Watson on that list?
I would not.
I wouldn't have.
But he is.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I'm
going to do something I never do here. And since I only got 30 seconds left, I'm making the pick. I'm going to try this out since it's a mock. And we're going double tight end.
Ooh,
Whoa.
okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
See what happens.
That's a
Stunned silence in the chat.
big screw you to all the people that haven't taken tight end.
I mean,
Get
I've been
them.
getting Mark Andrews towards the end of the second half and even beginning of the third in a lot of mocks. He's I'm, by the way, I'm the third spot in my division in checkers, and he's a great target for me usually around that area of one of those picks. So this is
Too hot for me. I don't know
definitely
about
much
Mark
earlier.
tight end 3.
Yeah. I'm gonna get Dan in here. His pick's coming up in a couple while Burrow's on the clock.
I'm going to stay #brand and take our boy.
Yes.
Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler, the if I'm reading it correctly, 8th quarterback off the board. I mean, running back.
I was waiting to see who would follow me here, which running back would come. This is against my religion, but I will take Miles Sanders as a Cowboys fan.
Ooh.
It's a nice pick.
A lot of good backs going. All right.
Just to back up a couple, and for the listeners, we did close out this first round, like I said, with Nick Chubb, and then starting off in the second, Derrick Henry, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Andrews with the 204, then Mixon, Eckler, and Sanders. And here we are with Byron on the clock. He's got Lamar Jackson the first round, and he just took Josh Jacobs. It's a solid running back consolation pick, I feel like there. He's not like my favorite, but he's pretty solid.
It's not bad for his RB2. He took RB1 in the first round with Lamar Jackson, so
Fair.
So
I'm gonna take the Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver 1. How about that? You think that's a good
Jalen
pick in
Reagor?
the second round?
yes.
Hey.
Go for it.
Zach Ertz is gone.
150 targets. What do you think? I think it happens.
Under significantly.
Yeah.
Under-
Oh,
They've-
Ah.
But there he's at the 210. Drew Brees makes it to the 210 again. They said it wouldn't happen, and it keeps happening though.
that one really hurt me. I really wanted Breeze at 211, like a lot. All right. Well, I'm going to go with the obvious choice of Devontae Adams here. I think he has a chance to be wide receiver 1 this year with there being no weapons for Green Bay. So I'll go with it.
Absolutely.
There's the first snipe,
Down.
Jacob.
Hey, you got me like 3 times.
The fact that Adams makes it back to the 211 is amazing.
Yeah.
It is. Just for the viewers and listeners, there's only been 2 wide receivers off the board yet so far. Michael Thomas at the 111, and now Adams at the 211. This is a very tight end happy group tonight.
So looking at this, I'm between 2 running backs here, and I guess I could technically take both, but I'm going to take one. I'm between Aaron Jones and Kenyon Drake. I'm going to go with Aaron Jones, and then make an unpopular pick here.
Ooh.
Spicy.
Spicy. We're going to see what happens.
So Aaron Jones with the 212, Carson Wentz with the 301. He's really hoping that Crocker's Ertz pick works out. And back to Jacob at the 302.
Yeah, that Wentz pick is interesting. I think I have to go receiver again just because getting wide receiver 3 at 3.02 is just common sense to me, but it's also like I have Hopkins, Julio, and Tyreek Hill. So that's tough. I'm going to do a little stack Tyreek Hill with Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to do.
I wanted Tyreek.
That is a nice little stack going there, high upside. And you make Crocker upset, so that's an added bonus.
And I don't think that's going to be a common stack. I don't think you're going to be able to see too many of those.
I could see it at 1.02 and 211. I've seen
Yeah.
it fall, but I don't see it at 3.02. I agree.
Yeah.
You might have to take him where Adams was taken. Yes. Julio Jones gone with the 303. Crocker is now a bit paranoid about timing out, and so he took about 5 seconds to take Chris Godwin.
Is that JJ Godwin or Chris Godwin?
This is Marquise Goodwin,
I was
right?
ready to make a pick. Okay, I was just ready. I knew who I wanted.
Marquise Goodwin, right? Yeah. Okay. After that, at the 5 slot, Byron takes Kyler Murray. So I've seen Kyler Murray going way higher than this. So this is quite the drop for him.
That was an interesting pick there. I was waiting to see who he would let come to me. I'm a little torn right now. Kenyon Drake, DeAndre Hopkins, depending on what position I want to go. I thought he was going to take at least one of them, and he didn't. So now it leaves me with a tough choice. I look back to last year's Fishbowl where I got Miles Sanders in round 9. So big difference a year makes as he's here in the second round where I took him. But I'm going to stack the running backs as I see some tough stacks throughout this draft, and I'm gonna go with Kenyon Drake.
I like it. There's a lot of upside there. If you just add up the starting running back points for the Arizona Cardinals, it's like the running back 5. Now, obviously, that was David Johnson to start, and then a little bit of what Wes Hills no, that was a different team. Chase Edmonds, of course. But yeah, once Drake got there, he had some really good games. If you can keep it up, high up.
Has Kenyon Drake ever dominated a backfield?
He did
in
for
his
like
career?
4 games.
Late last season, small sample size.
I think we're going to go 3 Cardinals in a row.
What did he play behind Mark Ingram in college? Is that what happened?
Oh, here we go. DeAndre Hopkins finally going 307 barreled. You think he keeps his volume up this season?
No, the volume definitely is going to take a little bit of a dip,
Drake?
but no, Nuke.
I've heard some arguments that almost, if that offense does better, it's not like the Texans' passing volume was crazy high either.
No, but his share of it was astronomical.
I just don't think Drake's good enough to monopolize the touches. I think Chase Edmonds is going to be significant and is a lot cheaper.
We're not talking about Drake anymore, Josh. All right. The 308, Matt Ryan was taken by Dustin. So he's got a nice little team there with Kamara, Mixon, and Matt Ryan. I kind of like that, but I do like the running backs. Phillips on the clock.
Darren Waller.
Do it.
No. I can't hold back any longer. I flirted with wait until the 4th round, but I think I gotta go with my guy. I really don't think he's washed yet, and I think Atlanta is going to use the heck out of Gurley. So I think I've got a guy who has +5, top 5 upside as long as he stays on the field.
Atlanta has absolutely every reason to use and abuse him, and then just let him walk at the end of next year.
Yeah,
that's a great
exactly.
pick.
Oh, it's good to know that there's no chance he would have gotten back to me in the 4th.
No.
For a 1 year kind of redraft tourney pick, it's hard not to like the chances there. It's definitely a risk, but you needed a high upside running back with those 2 tight ends in the 1st and 2nd.
I flirted with going quarterback and just punting on running back to see how long I could stand it, but seeing Gurley there was just too enticing.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. All right, so far in the 3rd, we've got Carson Wentz, Tyreek Hill, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake. Then at the 3-7, Hopkins, then Ryan, Gurley, and here we are. Ben's on the clock. He's not green. It's making me a little nervous. Hopefully he's just lost his signal for a minute. We'll make sure he's here. In the meantime, I was wondering, so far, who do we like the first 3 rounds? I know we got a couple more to pick here, but through 3 rounds, who do we like?
As far as
for me,
go?
it's hard not to like that 101, Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, and Carson Wentz. I think
that's a tough one. And the
real
Mahomes
good
Hill
start.
The Mahomes Hill stack is pretty nice too.
That's true. I was so hoping I'd sneak Murray in this round.
I think Crocker's got a pretty balanced team if you can pull off the quarterbacks coming up, but he's got Zeke, Ertz, Godwin. That's pretty strong at all positions. Byron has possibly the best potential like winning quarterback duo with Lamar Jackson and
Kyler Murray.
I like that. We might have to make a move for Ben here just to get moving. What would be the consensus here for
kicker?
He's got Dalvin Cook in the not JJ Taylor.
I was going to say, I vote JJ Taylor.
Yeah, help ADP.
For wide receivers, at AP saying like Kenny Golladay. For quarterbacks, we got maybe Josh Allen. He's still gone. I've seen him go usually before this. That could be a bit of a steal. And you've got Fournette is probably, I would guess, the consensus best running back.
Yeah.
I already have 2 running backs, so I say we go running back.
I was going to say he's got
tight end
running back, so I might look for a wide receiver, to be honest.
And maybe Kenny Galladay round off his roster.
Well,
yeah. I'm thinking we might just give him a wide receiver here just to balance it out for him. Okay.
Oh, where's that? He's green.
He just lit up, so
He's
we're going to
green,
resume and give him a chance to go here.
There we go.
It'll be interesting to see how Justin comes around. He went Leonard Fournette.
Sweet.
Oh,
Nice.
We should have given him Kenny Galladay and just moved along.
It was the 3rd round. I'm going for kind of a legitimate mock draft here, George. Unlike 4 wide receivers in a row. So
Hey, that was pretty
what are you
sweet.
taking?
That not a quarterback. I feel like no. I'm leaning towards a running back here. Not sure if I want to. I'm looking at one of the 3 older guys, quote unquote, the veteran running backs that are left. Either Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell, or David Johnson is where I'm leaning. Is one of those 3.
At this point from the 11 spot, would you ever look at my team and consider possibly waiting on that running back, or are you thinking 2 running backs here? Just because I'm 2 running backs.
So it would not shock me if you went 4 straight running backs, to be honest. And it's not you. It's running backs are so valuable in this format.
I definitely would have taken Todd Gurley for sure if he were still there.
Oh, same here.
Keep
Same
him
here.
talking, 15 seconds.
One with Melvin.
And he went running back with Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, like I said, I was looking at one of those 3 running backs there. I wasn't sure which one I wanted to go with. But I knew I wanted to go running back. I didn't want to go wide receiver, and I wasn't planning on taking another quarterback.
Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm excited
Justin
because
on the turn going Aaron Jones and Daniel Jones.
I'm excited about Danny Dimes in this format because you don't lose points for fumbles from your quarterbacks in this format.
That is true.
And, I know that sounds funny, but honestly, if you look at his points per game, he's a pretty solid quarterback in this format, mainly because of that. So he doesn't. I mean, he will throw quite a few incomplete passes when he throws it away, but I'm also pretty excited about the upside when Barkley's healthy. He actually played really well, so I'm down for it.
I love him.
Too rich for my blood, personally.
It's a little rush, but he is at the turn here, and it's going to be 24.
That's true.
Until he goes again. So
yeah, that's one of the downfalls.
At least one.
And honestly, there are still 3 other, maybe 4 quarterbacks. I don't know that I would really want in this format. So, but knowing that quarterbacks are about to start going, and knowing that me taking back-to-back quarterbacks might start a run here, I want to secure up 2 that I want now, so I don't have to wait, and then hopefully another one is still there because I am going to go 3 quarterbacks high if in the first 5 rounds if they're there for me.
George did bite on Kenny Galladay finally.
Yep.
I think has a great. I mean, this is probably right where I think he does deserve to be drafted. I'm glad he did not fall any farther. Josh Allen with the 403 to Ben. There he goes, and we're on Philip.
Yeah. I feel like QB is just a little bit too important in this format for me to keep punting it any longer. I'm okay with a guy later on, but I got to get one of my guys this round. And I think Stafford, if he's playing all 16 games, he's going to have a hell of a season with those wide receivers. I really like Stafford. His consistency score on my metric was through the roof in his first 8 games. I think the guy could have a career year.
I'm all for it. 8 games last year, he was crazy good. Aggressiveness through the roof, which really helped Galladay and Marvin when he was there. Dustin going Darren Waller in the 4th. It's a great pick. I think it may be seen as a reach by some, but
I like it.
Waller's gonna ball out again.
I think so.
You don't think he'll lose any target share with the addition of the wide receivers they drafted?
I think that Derek Carr is the perfect quarterback for a tight end. And then also, I think that, the Raiders had to go heavy on wide receivers this year. They had nobody behind Tyrell Williams, really. I mean, Hunter Renfrow is not a bad player, but he's not a wide receiver, too, for an NFL team.
No, he's definitely not, and I agree. I'm just worried that they're going to lean on Jacobs a little bit more like that. I think they're going to want to run the ball more so than let Carr just air it out. And with the addition of Rieger and everybody else, it's just
Ruggs. You mean?
Or Ruggs? I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. Long day. It's truly been a long day. I don't know. I'm just nervous that his snap share, not a snap share, but his target shares is going to regress.
I want to hear what Dan's thinking right here. He's at the 4-7, 30 seconds to go. What's he got?
Have my pick ready. Just want to let you guys know you're making this a brutal decision. You're definitely in my psyche here as I'm hearing all this quarterback talk going on, but I'm going to stay on brand. I think same reason at, where we see that Mahomes Hill stack, I'm going to have some conviction here and go with a Dak Cooper stack. I'm drafting a team that I don't like, but it makes sense, but I don't like it. We're going to see how it plays out.
Oh, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I thought might make it around.
I was praying at 4.11 I'd get him.
Man.
So what? We think Clyde Edwards is what? He's really the running back. What are we at? 13, 14?
No, I don't think he really is, honestly. I mean, I think Damian Williams played really well.
I would take the upside in, middle third, but I expect him to go late second, early third, to be honest.
See, that was kind of the way I was thinking. Is I just needed upside since the only guy I got right now is Todd Gurley. I thought maybe if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a home run, then I'm set. But right now I got a couple middle of the road sort of guys that I have to look for now.
All right.
He could be.
High upside.
He gets to work, he's going to be a home run.
There's a lot of high upside on Byron's team right there for sure. I did want to back up really quick here to recap. We Stafford, of course, we had that Waller pick. We kind of skipped over a barrel before I let you go here, tag you out. Kirk Cousins, I think that's a fantastic quarterback pick there.
I think he fits this scoring wonderfully.
Yeah, so he slipped to you there. Then we had Amari Cooper, Clyde Edwards, and DJ Moore went at 409. Crawford took him. Why you guys gotta let him get DJ Moore? Come on. Stephanie took Mike Evans, 410. We're on the 411 with Jacob.
So with this pick, I'm going to go quarterback, get my second QB. Currently between 2 guys, Jimmy Garoppolo and Ryan Tannehill. So I'm going to lean Jimmy Garoppolo because I expect their offense to pass more. He also had a really high completion percentage last year, so that's what I'm going with.
Okay, wrapping up that second quarterback before Fantasy Champ can snipe him.
It's a long time before my pick, and I'm feeling like there's not going to be a lot of good running back options coming back to me. I've already got two solid ones, but I'm going to go with an upside with Chris Carson, hoping he doesn't get injured. And then I'm going to take my first wide receiver here and not snipe Tannehill, and go with a guy that I think is just going to get peppered with targets in Adam Thielen.
That is a really nice wide receiver one consolation prize in the fourth. I mean, you got 3 running backs and just the 1 quarterback, so you really kind of needed to get something in that wide receiver slot, and definite wide receiver one potential there.
So I don't love this pick just because there's not a bunch of stability, but it's Scotch Fishbowl. We go for upside, so I have to go Jonathan Taylor as my RB1.
I was gonna say you do need a running back here, you know.
I know.
2 of them actually.
Hey, we need quarterbacks, receivers.
Marlon Mack will be available later. Don't worry. I got Stephanie's on the clock here. So to round that out, the 4th round, of course, Mike Evans was the 410, Garoppolo 411, and Chris Carson 412. We kind of skipped over that because of the Thielen pick, but Chris Carson, I mean, he's definitely a borderline running back 1.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he wasn't even healthy every game last season, was still running back. Was it 12 or 13? Somewhere around there.
Yeah, and after that, you know, you got Bell and you've got Connor, who I like as well, but you know, there's a lot of question marks with both those running backs, so especially with Adam Gase.
So at the 5-3, Stephanie took a stack I really love here. It's not really a stack, positional stack, but it's the 2 quarterbacks. He's got Drew Brees in the second, right? And he just took Tom Brady at the 503. He's going with the old vets here, high completion. These 2 could be really great in this format. I think you got a great deal on those guys.
Really wanted Brady there. Like all those weapons around him.
I can believe it.
I feel dirty making this pick again, another pick like that, but I'm just going to go with the talent around him. Hopefully his attitude's all right, and maybe we have a little turnaround in Cleveland here, but I'll go with Baker.
Quarterbacks is flying off the board.
Man, reaching on Baker. I don't know. It feels like a reach to me.
Baker was the guy I was looking at with my next pick, so he wasn't coming back around.
There's so much
Appreciate that.
I guess we had to get to him, but I just wouldn't like it.
It's more for me. It's more that I trust his weapons around him. Right? He's got stacked receivers, and I feel like that's going to really help him, especially in this scoring format.
Yeah, I'm not sure I trust his receivers either, though. So you know, and then Michael Stepney did point out. I mentioned the stack. I focused on the 2 old quarterbacks, but he does have Mike Evans, so he's got the Brady Evans stack. That is nice. Joffrey's on the clock here. Is he going to take
deciding between 2 QBs?
He's got Kelsey in the first, Eckler in the second, Hopkins in the third, Cousins in the fourth. He can go any direction here. What's he doing? Second quarterback. Gardner Minshew off the board. And Dustin took no time after that at the 508, taking Derek Carr. I would not have hesitated either.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
QBs are flying, but when I look ahead, there's a couple teams in between me and my next pick with 2 QBs already. And another guy's only got 1 RB. So I think running back is probably gonna be thin in just a minute. I should probably go wide receiver though, because you guys don't have any wide receivers either. So I'm changing up my draft strategy a little bit on the fly. I am going to take Jared Goff's security blanket and Cooper Kupp. Hope for some red zone upside there.
I guess I got to change my
running
cue.
backs. You got your quarterbacks.
Come on, guys. I'm on the turn. I'm supposed to be the one that dictates the runs. What the
You
hell?
did. You took 2 quarterbacks, and then everyone else took a lot.
I
of
know.
running backs.
And now I wanted to be the one to start the wide receivers.
Are you on the
Yeah,
turn? Or
I
are
figured you
sitting
did.
in
I figured that's what was going to happen.
It was a great move.
I like it. I like it. Playing it. Back to Philip. You got the 2 tight ends, first and second, with Kittle and Andrews. Now you got Gurley, Stafford, Cup. I guess that's a pretty good recovery from taking the early tight ends. I like it.
It's surprisingly better than I thought it would with that 2 tight end to start it off. But I figure, heck, let's see what happens.
You're going to need a strong wide receiver 2 or running back 2 here when we come back around. But after your Cup pick, Cortland Sutton went 5'10", and George took James Conner, which Philip might be upset about that.
A little bit.
And Justin's on the turn right now, making his decision on his first of 2 back-to-back picks.
Yeah, it's the wide receivers at this point now, because Cooper Kupp was like the last of my wide receiver 1s that I really wanted. Now the rest of them are wide receiver 2s. I'm going to have to play as a wide receiver 1. So I guess I'll take the one that could possibly hit some home run games here. Even though that's against the Fusion popular vote, I'll take that. And then, so after Ridley,
That's
let's
like wide
secure him
receiver
up.
14, I believe, at this point. I'm counting really quick.
Yeah.
14, 50. I'm not upset at Ridley at that spot. It's just when people want to talk about him as a wide receiver 1, I get a little on edge.
There's still a wide receiver that's on the board. I would have taken over Ridley.
Me too.
Well, George, it's not your turn yet.
I'm just saying, and he took him. See,
He just took him.
he did the right thing.
Allen
All right,
Robinson.
fine, thanks.
He should have gone ahead of Ridley, to be honest, but at least you took him.
I probably would have taken Robinson right after Cooper Kupp. I would have took Allen Robinson over Cortland Sutton personally.
Well, now if he blows up, I can say, man, I got him in the 6th round instead of the 5th.
Well played. So George has no tight end, which, that's not a lot of teams have tight ends. Swin Solutions, Philip took 2. And there's Mark Ingram making Philip pay on passing and running back. One more here before we get to Philip with Benjamin. We'll see what
I think Mark Ingram this week is a great pick.
Yeah, he could easily put up, top 15 running back numbers. Again, just solid. Hunter Henry goes at 603 to Benjamin. That's his first tight end. He's got a pretty balanced group going now. What do you got, Philip? You feeling
There's a couple wide receivers that I love on the board, but there are very few running backs that I love still. So
the squeeze?
A little bit. I'm debating between basically an absolutely solid floor play with David Montgomery. I mean, you can pencil it in for 200 plus touches right now.
I thought you were going to say 200 yards.
But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep the brand alive, I guess. Apparently, and get some old busted running backs that people don't like anymore, but with high upside. And I'm gonna hope that David Johnson has a little bit of his old self left in him and can make something happen over in Houston.
I like it. I like it. I saw a tweet today, someone saying, what if David Johnson had put up, 5 top 12 running back starts in the last, 5 games instead of the first 5? Would we think differently about him?
Yep, exactly. Everybody would be hyping up the end of a season, so I think that makes a big difference of when he performs and when he doesn't.
All right, we have right after Dustin took Evan Ingram, right after David Johnson. That's a high upside tight end pick there, 605. Singletary, 606. Bell goes to Dan, who I failed to get in here because I was too busy listening to what these other guys had to say. And sorry about that, Dan. Tell me about Bell. You think he's going to do anything this year?
I just think the cliff is about to hit with the running backs. So he just was a solid play. I was eyeing up Evan Ingram, who went a couple picks before me as I was looking for some upside. So just Bell felt like a nice, safe, solid pick.
He's your third running back, so it's hard to hate it.
I like the depth.
After Bell, we got Juju Smith-Schuster going off 608. Crocker got Keenan Allen at the 609. It is third wide receiver. Interesting. Stephanie takes David Montgomery at 610. Keenan Allen, why is he falling this late?
There's not a reason. There's not a reason.
There's no good reason.
Okay, glad it's not
Tricking yourselves. Wide receiver 1.
Every year we're like, oh no, and he does it. What wide receiver 6?
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
So with my pick, I'm going to go with a guy that I think is also really good for this scoring, and it's going to be quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. I know. If we look at games he actually played the whole time, he got 19.62 points per game, which is QB 9 in this scoring. So I think at this point, that's a great pick. Great pick.
And if you lower the threshold for qualifying pass attempts, he's in that 66 plus range also.
All right. Well, I really didn't see that coming after he'd already had 2 quarterbacks and 1 running back. I was really thinking Bridgewater was going to fall to me. I definitely need second quarterback here.
Playing you, thinking you're going to let more fall to him.
I think he knows who I wanted there. He's trying to test me. I'm going to go with Jared Goff, and I'm going to get a second wide receiver. I was hoping this guy would stay to me. Go with Robert Woods.
Go with Robert Woods.
I'd actually debate on Woods over Cup, personally.
Really like Woods.
I think that's fine if you
Yeah, Woods has a little bit more of an injury risk than we maybe are like to admit. But we got cats flying here. Jared Goff, that's a decent consolation prize for losing out on Bridgewater, I suppose.
Yeah.
He's done it before. I just remember always being kind of out on Goff early in his career. I thought, he's not really anything. He's a fraud. And then he had these good seasons when McVay got there. And I'm not sure which is real. Was that just McVay and the offense, and now we're seeing real, Jared Goff again, or I'm not sure. Maybe truth's probably somewhere in between. But.
Yeah, I agree. He's just the best option for me at that point.
Jake's got 20 seconds.
Yeah, I know who I'm picking. So my running backs are pretty rough. So I'm again just going to go for that upside pick and get Darius Geis.
Ooh, George is cursing.
George.
Sorry, George.
I got to get him on.
Well, I wonder what George's go-to swear word is.
Well, they're using the fuck. So.
You got
My go-to swear word is fuck.
I really do like Darius Geis this year. I think if he can stay healthy, he'll have a bounce back year.
That I was definitely taking Darius Geis if he was coming back to me in this round. There's no doubt about it. 100%. I was definitely taking him. That's a good pick. I hate you.
Sorry. Do y'all remember what?
It's all good.
Did Geis go 8th round last one we did? Do y'all remember?
Yes, he went in the 8th round, I believe.
Like early 8th.
7th or 8th pick, near
okay.
the turn there. So one of those.
Yeah, I took him in the last one. I think I took him 8-2.
Michael made my decision easier. I was really looking at Kareem Hunt, but since he's gone, that's AJ Brown, no problem.
Yeah. Crocker's
that's an easy
really
pick.
looking at that wide receiver core, feeling happy. And then I think in a couple of rounds here, he's going to look back up and realize he's just got one quarterback and running back.
There's lots of those still on the board, man.
I guess when you get to this point, it's all the same, right?
No, I got lots of stuff I like still up there. You just wait.
Okay, we'll see. Byron's picking right now. Man, we are how many quarterbacks in? It's got to be at least 20.
Is this how you
About
see
100.
the real draft going with all these quarterbacks that quickly?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. This is maybe the closest to the real thing I've seen so far. Cam Akers going 705. I like it. I like it. Dan at the 706.
What I figured there, like I said, Bell, I just thought was the closest thing to the bell cow the round before, even though I'm not an Adam Gase fan, but I knew there'd be talented receivers that would slide. I think I missed on Keenan Allen, though. I think that was a stellar pick there. I'm really intrigued by Juju. Obviously, A.J. Brown's attractive. Trying to get out of dynasty mode here. I see DJ Shark on the board. Like I say, I got 9 in the 19th round last year on the Fishbowl. How about that for a treat? But in this round here, I love the Colts, man. So I'm gonna go with T.Y. Hilton there and take the bet. I think Philip Rivers is gonna love him.
Shooting for the volume of T.Y. Hilton. Joffrey. That was quick.
I knew exactly who I wanted.
They were all on my list there, man. Tough choices.
Same here. My pre-draft list is just getting shrunk.
Yeah.
There's a wide receiver I would have taken over all three of these that went. Of course, T.Y. Hilton went, DK Metcalf, and then Dustin took Stephon Diggs.
You're thinking Shark.
Or Lockett.
There's a couple. No, it wouldn't be Chark. It wouldn't be Chark. I can't say anything. He's still on there. Maybe Philip will take him here. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I've been bouncing back and forth between Ty and another guy. I think Ty is just going to get pummeled by Philip Rivers there with targets. So he was kind of the guy I was leaning towards, but Dan made my life a lot easier. So now I'm going with Tyler Lockett, who I think has a whole lot of upside.
That was it. I would have taken him over the other guys. And we got a wide receiver run going because now Benjamin took DJ Chark. Sorry, George, no more wide receivers for you.
Justin, if you want, you can still take credit.
Take credit for what?
The run.
Yeah.
You did it, Justin. You did.
Yeah, I did it. I was the third to take one, and then there was a long stretch of none. So, but yeah, I'll take credit. We're going kicker next. Boy.
So I'm looking. We're going kicker next. So I'm looking for some kind of value here, and I think I'm going to get great value. I'm not a believer
George is going
in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I do not.
Hey, T-Pain.
I don't believe he is the. Can you hear me now?
I got you.
All right.
Yeah,
I think Damian.
talking.
So George took the Kansas City Chiefs running back 1, Damian Williams.
Yes, I did. It's on brand.
I like it. I like it there. I've seen him go even later, but I can't hit it.
So I would normally like my Daniel Jones pick from earlier, but I'm just now realizing that him and Rodgers have the same bye week. So, which normally I wouldn't. Normally I wouldn't be too concerned, but you can't make trades in the Scott Fish Bowl. So, I guess it's time for me to get another quarterback here.
Do they have the same bye? I thought the bye was in parentheses here on the board.
Yeah, it is. They're both week 11.
I'm showing Rodgers is 5.
Rodgers
is week 5 and Jones is week 11.
I just realized I did the same thing.
Yeah, it says week 11 on there though.
Beryl Joffrey and Byron are not all right.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, then let's go ahead and take the guys that I wanted to take then.
Oh, AJ Green. I was hoping he might sneak by.
Stacking up the wide receivers at the 7-8 turn with Terry McLaurin and AJ Green.
I love that pick. I can't believe that people are forgetting about AJ Green right now.
Yeah, again, I kind of wanted my more secure guys that are going to get a lot of targets with Robinson and Green, and then my guys that could possibly explode with Ridley and McLaurin. So
I don't know. Secure AJ Green. Those words don't. No.
As long as
is he worth the
healthy.
5 games?
I mean, if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm gonna throw him the ball. Like, I want to succeed, right?
Then he's gonna die.
It's just a redraft. I only need one more good year out of him.
He's been saying that for 3 years.
Oh, fine. I'm on tilt now. Now I got to look at wide receivers for the next time around. You've got me worried.
Justin's going with a draft that would make George proud. George here is going running backs the last 3 rounds, and he finally goes tight end with Rob Gronkowski.
So he hasn't gone tight end yet.
Yeah, I mean, do touchdowns get an added bonus in this scoring? Because I'm afraid that's all he's getting.
That's fine. It's a position I got to start, and at this point, looking who's there, I think he offers the most upside. He's going to have the most rapport with Brady in Tampa. So,
okay. Alexander Madison goes in the 8th. Benjamin, of course, took Dalvin Cook in the 1st round, so he's definitely backing himself up there.
Strong hedge.
I guess it's worth it. I know for sure you've got 2 good starting running backs in Vikings and Leonard Fournette.
are we just going to pretend that when Dalvin Cook went down last year, like Mike Boone wasn't there? Because when Mike Boone played, when Madison and Dalvin Cook were out, like Mike Boone kind of did ball out.
No, he had one really bad game when everyone thought he was going to ball out.
Yep.
And then he balled out the next week when everyone was off of him, because that's what he does.
But I think you're looking more like, I'm not convinced if Cook goes down, like it's automatically everything that Cook was getting is going to Madison. I think it's going to be more of a split between the two.
Unless there's a reason that we had to see both of them go down before we saw Boone.
So after the Madison pick, we got Drew Lock finally going here, 804. Michael Gallup at 805. I would take him over at least AJ Green. And Ben Roethlisberger to Beryl Joffrey. That's I don't know. I don't hate it. He could be really good. You've got Kirk Cousins, which I liked as the other quarterback, and then Gardner Minshew. So you can kind of tag team Minshew and Roethlisberger. And, of course, like you said earlier, you got Cousins and Minshew sharing a Week 7 bye.
Torn between a couple guys here, but as they say, get your guy. So I'm going to go with Hollywood Brown here. I'm really liking what he could do in Baltimore.
Now, I'm curious, Beryl, did you go so deep as to look at who Roethlisberger was playing Week 8? Not 8, 7. Week 7.
I did not. Not at this point. I will.
He's like playing the Patriots or something that week.
I will, because I do find myself ending up with a lot of Kirk and Gardner in mocks. So I'm gonna. That is one. Week 8 is gonna, or not Week 7 is gonna be something that I look at in terms of, or whoever's playing Week 7 is gonna be something I look at as my third QB.
That is gonna be rough. And Dan, yeah, that Marquise Brown pick, that is definitely high upside, and you've got already 2 pretty good wide receivers ahead of him. So as a 3, that's, I can't hate it. That's pretty nice. I think Byron finally figured out that both Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray share a Week 8 bye. So he took Phillip Rivers, who has a Week 7 bye with the 808, and now Cam Newton with a rocket ship ADP now, jumping up into the 8th round. He
deserves it.
George, I still have you on here pretty much for this. You tweeted something out that I think Sleeper here stole and posted about.
So they gave me credit for it.
I know they do.
Okay.
They always do. It's just funny.
Yeah. So the tweet was, I mean, it's, if you look at the seasons Cam Newton has played 16 games, he's never finished lower than quarterback 5. So he's always been in the top 5. If he plays 16. So when he doesn't miss a game in a season, he finishes as a top 5 quarterback every single year. So if you believe
he's going to be,
go ahead, Josh.
Points per game, he'll be.
If you believe, I think that's the key. So after Newton went, Boyd went, and we're on Jacob with the 811.
So
to snipe fantasy champ once again.
with this pick, this is a guy I actually want over Hunter Henry, over Evan Ingram, and over Gronkowski. I'm going to go with Hayden Hurst.
Ay, ay, ay.
You were so close. You were so close. You had me until you said Hayden.
Man,
Go ahead.
he's just going to step in, and I just expect great things on that Atlanta offense. Seems like they like to use their 2 wide receivers, their 1 tight end, their running back. So I don't see any reason why he won't be a consistent producer at the tight end position.
Okay.
I was hoping Hurst was going to fall to me. It's again a long time before my pick. I'm just going to wait on tight end. I think I'm going to pretend both my quarterbacks don't have the same bye week, which I didn't know before everyone started talking about it. I'm going to go with 2 wide receivers. Hopefully, we can repeat from last year. And high upside in Will Fuller.
All right, he's finally getting his wide receivers after those 3 early running backs. Robert Woods was in the 7th, but now he comes back around in the 8-9 turn with Devonta Parker and Will Fuller. 2 very high upside, very possibly high risk guys.
100%. But if they can stay healthy, I mean, we saw Parker produce last year, and Fuller has such a high ceiling if he can stay on the field. I don't know if he can, but
does Parker
Fuller
repeat as a wide receiver
have to
1 this
play
year?
12 games. If he plays like 8, I think he pays off.
For Fuller, probably.
Yeah.
Well, what about Parker? I mean, he was a wide receiver 1 last year. Can he do it again?
Yeah, I think they're both good picks. I think that's a great gamble to make at this point in the draft.
mm-hmm. Thank you.
Fuller had such a high ceiling, and he could be number 1 wide receiver in Houston now with Nuke out. So if he could stay healthy, if he's not made of glass, you got a nice bargain there.
So my running backs have all been extremely high upside, and why stop that now? I'm going to go with some Raheem Mostert at 9.02.
He is walking that line with that edge with the running backs. Taylor, Geis, Mostert.
That is why I like the 1.01, because I would start with CMC. But I think if you're going to be the 1.02, you get those wide receivers to fall. I would go upside all day with these 3, but I don't know. I'd be interested to see someone who had the 102 look at this draft and be like, I'd never do that, or yeah, I'd try it.
I don't hate Mostert there. I mean, you're talking about a guy who had a third of the rushing share and still had almost 1,000 all-purpose yards.
Well, if you feel any better, Stephanie was thinking about Raheem Mostert there, so you sniped him a little bit. He takes Joe Burrow instead at the 903, and Crocker just went with J.K. Dobbins. You were praising the Mark Ingram pick, so why are you taking Dobbins?
The opportunity in Baltimore is just way too good, and it's not. I don't think it's likely to be a full-time split. I think it's going to be one guy is going to be very relevant. So either one sounds good to me.
Okay. Byron's taken with the 905. Tyler Higbee. Uh-oh, guys, we got a tight end run. Austin Hooper with the 906 goes to Dan. Dan, I would take Hooper ahead of Hurst. Am I crazy?
No, I had him ahead of him there. He was in my first tier. I also have Baker, so complete the stack there.
I just think Hurst has so much more opportunity than Hooper. That's where I sort of draw the line for myself.
Depends on what that Browns offense, how much it actually changes this year. Because we know Baker has utilized tight ends in the past, and we know Stefanski has as well.
Yeah, but I think it's going to – this is just my thought. It's going to be a heavier Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt led offense with Odell and Landry getting their own.
And we saw what Hooper can do, or he did last year with Atlanta, and Hayden Hurst taking over that position this year.
Hey, Austin Hooper is going into his prime with a big contract. I just find it hard to believe they're not going to use him. I mean, he's going to be 25 at the beginning of the season, stranded for another month and a half or so. But he's going into his prime. He hasn't even hit his prime.
We also thought David Njoku was going to be used a lot too, though.
I think that's all on Njoku, though. After Hooper in the 907, we got Mike Williams. A lot of high upside pick there. And Jarvis Landry, 908, goes to Dustin. Burrow, Mike Williams, we were talking about him a little bit in chat the other day.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's just upside at this point. It's he had touchdowns one year, he had the yards the next year. He puts it all together. It's gonna pay off for me there.
Okay. Landry put up a lot of points, but rather inconsistent. So we'll see if Dustin can get him a third wide receiver. I suppose it's worth the wide receiver, high wide receiver 2 upside. Philip, going with another quarterback at 909. Sam Darnold.
Well, I knew, looking at who's drafting in between my next pick, I knew that there's going to be at least another wide receiver and at least another quarterback probably off the board, or running back and quarterback off the board, I meant to say. So I was rolling the dice. I did not want to get stuck with Dwayne Haskins as my third QB, but I was hoping that I might have a chance at Matt Breida. So that did not work out well.
Yeah, Breida went right after you. I like that kind of like high ground, make them pay approach. You know, if you're gonna take all my wide receivers there, Justin, then I'm gonna take your quarterbacks, right?
Exactly.
So I like it.
Fair enough.
Like it. George is on the clock at the 9:11.
Yeah, I was actually going to take Sam Darnold. So that was a pretty good pick. That just means I'm not taking a quarterback in the next 2 picks. So I'm going to go with a receiver who has shown if he doesn't get concussed, he can pretty much put up 1,000 yards any given year. Go with Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
Nice. I'm not too awful upset with if I'm stuck with Haskins as my QB3. I think he does have a little bit of upside with the weapons that they're giving around him right now. But I'm going to do the same thing that I keep doing in all the mocks here, and it's still here all the time, every time at the 9-10. So I can tell it's a horrible pick right now because it's always there. Nobody wants these guys. But I'm going to sure up a QB3 right there.
Yeah, you took the QB I was hoping to get in the next round coming back. I didn't think anybody take Fitzpatrick. So that one.
Fitzpatrick and to a stack on the turn by Justin.
Yeah, he did that to me on the last draft, and that was fine. I've said the whole time, like when we did the last one, I'm only planning on starting one quarterback. I won't super flex a second quarterback if I don't have to. I took my stud quarterback early, and the rest I'm just going to do positional players. I was hoping to get one serviceable quarterback for bye weeks or in case of an injury, and if Wilson gets injured, my Scott Fishbowl is pretty much done, but I was willing to take that risk. So now I got to come back and see what I want to take because he kind of messed me up there. I'll go with Sony. I think he gets a little boost with Cam Newton going to New England.
Yeah, we were talking about the other day. I think the whole offense gets a boost, obviously, but in particular, Cam Newton could really help raise Sony's yards per carry because they've been pretty bad. But he could open things up possibly.
Ooh, I like Tony Pollard there. It's a nice little upside pick, but that just means that my target is still around for some high upside. I love DeAndre Swift coming out of the draft. I hate the landing position, but at this point in time, I need somebody who's got, good upside that can be a bell cow.
Yeah, you can't really hate him at that price. I really don't like what the Lions do with their running backs, but if Swift can stay healthy, at least we saw Kerryon putting up some decent points when he was healthy. Maybe he can do the same and just keep it up. Dustin takes Ronald Jones with the next pick at the 10:05. I kind of do hate that one. Sorry, Dustin. Just not a Ronald Jones guy. Since like 2 years ago when he was rookie. Barrel is furiously clicking here, mashing the button on
Farrell, that's such a
Julian
good pick. That's
and
such a good pick.
Cam
That
Newton's
was
there, so if you had some fears from Stidham, at least maybe now Julian Edelman can return some real value.
that was an excellent pick there. And being that he sniped him, I only see one. And I don't know if I'm going to do this in the real fishbowl. Do I go with a third quarterback or do you just stick with two and ride with what you have? But I'm okay with Haskins. So at this point, I'll lock down that third quarterback. So I only think there's only one starting quarterback left on the board.
Yeah, there's two teams we could say of two teams worth of starting quarterbacks on the board left, but who knows?
I forgot one.
Who thinks which is going to be which? Marvin Jones goes right after that Haskins pick. I like that. Keyshawn Vaughn definitely would take him over Jones, but it's really interesting how close they are in the same round. A lot writing on which way that goes there. Crocker, you passed on James White. Stepney took James White. Did you think he was coming back, or you just forget about him?
I just feel like the New England offense is going to help a lot of people. And these, like, all these players in this offense look good to me now if Cam's going to be healthy.
Okay. Jacob's here at the 10-11.
Yeah, this is me thinking about who's going to come back to me at the 11.02. And I'm going with a high upside tight end again and getting Jared Cook on the New Orleans Saints. I just think he can do a lot of good stuff for with Drew Brees.
Again. Okay. That was going to be my pick. I need a tight end. I think Noah Fant can do it. A long time before I get another pick, I'm going to take a quarterback and a guy that I think will take over the starting position. And hopefully by week 9 when my guys go on bye with Nick Foles.
Oh, there we go. There's one of them. Nick Foles. Is it Foles or is it Trubisky? So we'll see. I don't know if you actually have a starting quarterback there or not.
So this fell exactly how I thought it would. And I'm again going high upside and going with Deebo Samuel at 11.02.
I was wondering when he was going to go.
I just think this is best case scenario for the 1.02 pick.
It's just a lot of fear because it's the tournament and all that even if he comes back, you're still missing early games, I guess. That's all I can figure.
Yeah, I could see that being the scare, but at this point, I mean, I guess he is my wide receiver 3, which is sort of scary for me, but I can get a couple of guys and figure it out later and hope he turns it on after maybe week 4, week 5, and lead me to a championship.
Right. Stepney's on the clock, 111. With the Deebo thing, I mean, there's lots of bad stories and cases of guys who have had that Jones fracture, but there's also Julio Jones, right, who was fine. I'm not sure about that. I don't know why he would go after a Will Fuller, not to slam on that pick, but it seems to me if I'm going to go up high upside, he belonged up in that range, the Jarvis Landrys, the Brandon Cooks. Deontay Johnson goes 11.03.
That's a good pick.
Stepney. Who said that? Yeah, you better defend that.
I think at this point in the 11th round, that's a high upside pick.
I think that's a good pick too. I like him there.
All right, not going to complain. I can't wish him doing bad because I did manage to trade Marlon Mack for Deontay Johnson before rookie draft somewhere. So
yeah, I'd say he has the most. I think he has the most upside out of everybody remaining because it's a bunch of rookies and then like Sterling Shepard, John Brown. I mean, you have Mecole Hardman, but he's questionable. He's like the 3rd or 4th target on his team. So I like it.
Crocker already has Zach Ertz, but he's still reaching on tight end here in the 11.04 pick with Mike Gesicki.
Excuse me, sir. That was not a reach. I'm offended by Mike Gesicki belongs right there. Why does he not?
He could. There's also some scary things about him, but there's tons of potential for sure.
Like that Jordan Howard pick there. I feel like you're getting a starter here. I like him more than Breida. Some depth at some other positions. So even though you just dogged my boy, I'm going to go with McCall Hardman in the upside here. I've shamelessly plugged on Twitter how right before the pandemic I got to play basketball with McCall, Lenny Fournette, and Des Bryant.
Wow.
I was on a vacation in Texas there, and Des tweeted that they're going to be at this gym. And I asked my relatives, I go, "Where's that gym?" And they're like, "We just passed it," as we were driving home from this fair. So should I go back? And I did, and got to play basketball with them. It was awesome.
Nice.
McCall is fast as a deer.
Now,
Crocker,
the argument.
this is why Gesicki was a reach.
Yes. Thank you, Darrell Joffrey. Jonnu Smith at the 11:07. He did much more with even less than Gesicki did. Coming into his prime, we've been waiting for him. He's been one of those young tight ends who's supposed to be something. And look, all the hate that Jonnu gets about being a low volume offense, like we weren't saying anything about that when it was Delaney Walker being a top, tight end one. Christian Kirk goes after Jonnu Smith, 11:08 to Dustin, and we're here at Phillip on the clock.
Man, I was really hoping to that Marvin Jones might fall a little bit farther, another round, and I could get a little lion stack with Matthew Stafford and Marvin Jones. But one team's wide receiver one is still on the board. And as much as I'm not a fan of the Giants as a whole, I got to go ahead and grab Sterling Shepard right now as my third wide receiver.
Interesting. A lot of people are really high on some other wide receivers there, and they might disagree that Shepard is as high as he should, as you have him here. You gonna defend that at all, Phillip?
I don't know. There. I can see a world where Darius Slayton steps into the wide receiver one role, but right now, I think a healthy Sterling Shepard is still the go-to guy. And I think I'm just willing to be wrong on Darius Slayton.
He's like a mini Cup, kind of like Cooper Cup. And he's high on those touchdowns all the time too, it seems. So,
I can throw some targets per game data to y'all. So like with the Giants, Evan Ingram actually led the team with 8.5 targets per game. And then it was Shepard with 8.3, Golden Tate was 7.7, and then Darius Slayton was 6 targets per game. So
pretty even.
Yeah, it's an interesting wide receiver core.
We got a tight end run on aisle 11 here. TJ Hawkinson, 11:10. Ian Thomas, 11:11. Irv Smith and Jay Sternberger back to back by Justin. He's definitely trying to lead a tight end. Justin, I'm not sure there's any tight ends left.
No, I'm not trying to lead it because I would have led it way back at Jared Cook, and that's pretty much exactly the order that my queue went away in.
Hey, Josh, I'm just looking at the roster lineups here. Is it 4 flex spots or 3 flex spots with the super flex?
I think it's 3 flex spots and a super flex.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I may have said
I've got it pulled up here. I can look. Yeah, it's 3 flex spots plus the 1 super flex.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So the guy I'm going to take next is, according to Sleeper, they have him ranked 1,454.
JJ Taylor.
No, Antonio Brown.
JJ Taylor would be much higher than that.
That's true.
I'm going to look him up. I got to find out where JJ Taylor is at.
Also not high. So yeah, Antonio Brown off the board. There he goes. Hey, he's worth a shot. I'm not sure. I guess at this point, he's worth the price of giving up a pick.
Being at the back end, I wanted him on my team, and I'm not willing to take the chance that he's going to last another 22 picks to get back to me. I think there's a lot of smart people. I think there's a lot of sharp people that we're drafting with, and I think somebody would have took a flyer on him before it got back to me at 13-11.
That's quite possible. Benjamin went Tyrod Taylor in the 12th. I like that pick. That is quite possibly the last starting quarterback, unless Trubisky starts over Foles. And Philip, back to you. You got a pretty
There's
balanced team here, but your running backs are kind of either old or rookies.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. There's a lot of wide receivers that I still kind of have some hope in. The running backs are quickly turning into maybes, so I'm gonna at least shore one up, I think, and I'm gonna get an insurance policy / flex play with Duke Johnson. I got both D Johnsons out of Houston that way.
Okay.
I have a question for y'all. What do y'all think about stacking running backs on the same team versus spreading it out with Scott Fishbowl? Because I was thinking spreading it out, but I don't know, because this is my first year, if y'all have any other insight.
I mean, I clearly don't like running backs, evidently. Wow.
And
Go ahead.
I would probably say only in some of the more uncertain situations where you're looking at like Mac and Jonathan Taylor or Rojo and Vaughn, like those type of where the chips could fall either way. That's really the only way I would condense. Otherwise, I would diversify.
And for me, in this case, Duke Johnson's a guy that we've seen always kind of be an RB2 on his team, but has always had some flex value on his own as well. So even though I've got two guys on the same team, in a pinch, I could start both.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just
Tyrod Taylor
value,
when we got
really,
Duke
whatever the
Johnson.
value is.
Duke Johnson 1204, Marlon Mack 1205, Darius Slayton we were talking about 206, and Dan, you just took Tariq Cohen, the forgotten running back.
Yeah, there's a few running backs I was eyeing up here. I'm really intrigued by the tight ends. I mean, there's the last 5 tight ends that went, 3, 5, even 6 tight ends are very intriguing to me. 7, 8. Like someone's going to break out of that group, maybe more than one. A couple will probably disappoint. It makes me think, I should have went tight end a round earlier. Jarwin just went. There's another guy I was looking at. I definitely saw some depth there. But Cohen's intriguing.
You didn't go Jarwin.
I know. I can't be a homer all the time.
That'd be the triple stack.
You don't see a 50 for 500 season for him, or no?
I love Jarwin. I don't know why on like 3rd and long situations, and I love Witten, but when it's 3rd and long, you need some guys that could get yards after the catch, and Jarwin is that guy. He's exciting to watch, so I think he's had a really good year. But these couple rounds here, I think, are critical. It really got me thinking about what running backs, tight ends we should be zeroing in on.
Trying to get Crocker in here, but I can't count apparently because I have too many people on. Crocker, you're on the clock. 40 seconds. What do you got?
Dude, running back's super gross right now.
Yeah, kind of.
I just can't do it.
Ooh,
Fair.
Zach Ertz with Dallas Goddard. I think he's got independent value too, and so plus the added bonus of backing up Ertz. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. I really like that pick.
Thank you.
The guys here on the turn pay for not having all the tight ends they want.
Hey, I'm good at tight end. I'm great.
Yes. Yeah, sure. We're gonna do the senior tight end club here with Hayden Hurst and Jared Cook.
Hey,
Well,
that's all you need. Productive tight ends, right?
I think you guys made this hard on Stephanie because he doesn't have a tight end yet.
That's a rough spot. Oh, he
Still
said,
doesn't.
Wow.
Philip
Full
Lindsay.
punt.
interesting.
I
I
like
was
it.
looking
I
at Lindsay.
respect
If I was
that.
going to take a running back, it was going to be Lindsay.
I respect that. He's digging in. He's like, if you guys are gonna take a tight ends, that's fine. That's fine. I'll go somewhere else.
This right here is a interesting spot for me. I'm gonna go running back, and I'm between Kerryon Johnson, Latavius Murray, and Tevin Coleman. So, I mean, why not keep going for the home run approach? Latavius Murray showed that he can score points whenever he was on the field with Kamara out. So, why not?
And Kamara is of the same class as possible holdouts Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon.
That makes me feel even better. Thank you.
You know, we don't talk about it much, but he could. And he hasn't even gotten the money those guys have because he was picked later, 3rd round, I believe.
This tight end
I really
situation
feel like
is gross.
I feel like Marlon Mack is like actually the last palatable running back, and I probably want him to be like my RB4. So I'm feeling a little short.
I really don't hate the Murray because we've seen them have him have even independent value in certain games, and yeah, Kamara is a bit of a glass cannon kind of thing. On the turn, fantasy champ taking his tight end and shoring up that wide receiver core. Chris Herndon and Anthony Miller. You like Anthony Miller?
I do like Anthony Miller. If Nick Foles takes over this starting position, he loves throwing it to the slot. That's going to be Anthony Miller's position. The kid's got talent. I don't think Trubisky's going to keep the job, so I like him there.
Yeah, you did take Foles, and so you're definitely digging in on that take. Could pay off if it goes that way. Yeah, Miller's a guy I can't seem to get on board with, but if it was Foles, I could buy it much easier. Made it hard on Jacob, apparently.
Yeah.
Did I finally snipe you?
You didn't snipe me. I'm actually off on Miller. His shoulder injuries make me really nervous, but he definitely is a high upside pick that if he's healthy, he'll ball out for sure. No doubt about it. I'm just trying to decide between how crazy high upside I want to go. And so I'm going to make Dan proud and go with some CeeDee Lamb right here.
Love it.
There it is. Yeah, there's lots of volume there, I think, still. So he could put up a decent wide receiver 3 season possibly. Jack Doyle goes. That is Stephanie's first tight end. Not sure that would be my first pick, but for the 13th, you could do worse. AJ Dillon, 1304 to Crocker. You're going to a lot of rookie running backs here.
Why not?
I guess you got Zeke, so I mean you got that.
I mean, I just need one guy to hit. Yeah.
I need a second tight end.
Byron takes Zach Moss right before Dan. Not a big fan, but he belongs right with AJ Dillon that in range. So
I'm seeing Zach Moss there, but I need a second tight end after punting all the good young upside tight ends that you guys took. And between Dawson Knox, who I still see having upside, and I'm probably going to go with Dawson Knox, but I got to put a little plug in there to OJ Howard. You know, I know Gronk's there. If anyone can make him good as Tom Brady, I still believe he's talented, but I don't have the kahunas to take him, so give me Knox.
Yeah, finding some gold. No one's getting my Fort Knox gold jokes, obviously. We're moving on to Joffrey, 1307.
Knox is an interesting one because he was hyped in the dynasty world, and then he sort of dropped off. Like, I've seen no talk about him at all.
Is it because of Diggs?
He had like 50 targets year one. He probably belongs over Jonnu Smith. That's where he belongs.
You hush your mouth.
That's spicy.
He belongs ahead of Jack Doyle and Herndon for sure, I think. After them, got Burrow going with McFarland Jr. Yeah, did Jalen Samuel die or Benny Snell die? I mean, why are people so high on McFarland?
I want somebody to validate that role. I like McFarland.
Yeah, I don't think they felt comfortable with what they had behind Connor, and they showed it again year after year after year. They keep going after another running back because they never feel comfortable. And so, new flavor.
His film's impressive. He's an explosive running back. There's potential.
I'm just
okay,
betting
so
against
after
Connor's health.
McClelland, two high potential explosive players when we got Henry Ruggs with the 1308 to Dustin, and then Philip went Emmanuel Sanders, who kind of gets forgotten about down there with the Saints. I mean, he's older, but what do you think?
Someone besides Michael Thomas has got to catch a few balls.
We said last year.
I'm curious what you guys think as we're winding this down, and I don't want to spoil anyone's pick, but it's a mock draft. But Lamb, Ruggs, Denzel Mims, all before Judy. I didn't miss anything, did I? Judy getting no love?
I mean, in Dynasty, plenty, but for year one, I'm not seeing it.
Not with that quarterback too.
Yeah, I think it has more to do with the Drew Lock factor than anything. We still don't know with him. We'll definitely know after this season, for sure.
Benjamin went Mims with the 1310. Possibly, I mean, I heard Peter Howard today talking about how Mims should have above 10% tight end share. I mean, target share. So as far as rookies go, it's a pretty safe floor, you'd hope. Waiting on George here.
Yeah, I'm debating on what I'm doing here.
You got any more players who are no longer in the league? Next 5 seconds.
This one's still in the league. He's a rookie. Kind of like him.
There you go. T. Higgins. I think all the rookies are going now, right?
I've got a nice, pretty, double-tapped, color-coded, aesthetically pleasing board going here. So,
very OCD.
Yeah, and I never do that, so that's pretty cool. But I'm not going to break it now. Obviously, I've been picking running backs since 1-2, so I should probably pick up a couple running backs here. I don't know. They say that they're pretty important.
They don't matter.
And then I need to get to bed, fellas, because I got an early morning ahead of me. So thanks again, Josh, for having me on. Appreciate you guys. Nice to meet you guys. And
have a good one, man.
Have a good one.
Good night, Justin.
Yeah.
I love that Tevin Coleman pick, though. So, because Justin took Kerryon Johnson and Tevin Coleman on the turn. He does have, in case you can't see the board, he has every turn gone back-to-back same position. I respect that. Running back in the first two, then 2 quarterbacks, then 4 wide receivers, then 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and now 2 running backs to close it out. N'Keal Harry goes with Gio's pick. I like it. Again, kind of
George.
that.
That's who I was going to take.
You count on Cam Newton a lot here with both Sony and Harry.
Well, I mean, there was a little debate whether N'Keal Harry or Josh Jacobs should have been the 101 last year. Now, I get N'Keal Harry's coming off an injury, but he's going to have Cam Newton as his quarterback. Cam Newton has made some pretty crappy receivers look semi-relevant. Funchess comes to mind as one of them. So I'm gonna take N'Keal Harry. I still like the talent. He missed a lot of last year, but I mean, 14th round, why not?
All right, 1402, N'Keal Harry. 1403, Benjamin took Brandon Ayuk. A lot of people.
My last pick is going all upside, so I'm either thinking Antonio Gibson, just to throw crap on a wall and see what sticks for running backs. But I think one guy that really has a good shot at getting a ton of targets and being viable in his rookie year is Justin Jefferson.
Thank you. There it is. I was wondering what is going on. Why is Mims going ahead of Justin Jefferson? Ayuk too. Quite possibly the best, first year, right off the bat opportunity up there.
Very happy to see him still available in the 14th.
Dustin takes Gibson right after. Maybe he was listening, or maybe you're on the same wavelength there. And then Jalen Reagor. Like I said, we got all the rookie wide receivers going on. Joffrey goes Rager. Dan going Judy finally. Waiting
Couldn't
for
let him
Byron.
slide anymore.
Judy is the what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th, 7th rookie wide receiver off the board.
Good value.
Dynasty wide receiver 2 usually, not redraft apparently.
I feel like he should be around 2 or 3. I think it depends on the situation. Though I could see people jumping Justin Jefferson and Rager over him. Ruggs is an interesting pick, though, for sure.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel going here, 1408 to Byron. The most Crocker pick ever in the 14th, Chase Edmonds.
No one's worried about Eno Benjamin in this one?
I
No.
kind of am, really. Yeah, I kind of am.
I like Eno a lot better than Chase personally. I think if I'm throwing the dart, that's where I'm going.
Stephanie going, trying to recover on the tight ends here with the Kyle Rudolph 14-10. And waiting on Jacob here to close us out. He and Fantasy Champ, the last 2 picks.
So with this pick, I would do a back-to-back most likely, but I'm just going to pick the first guy up on ADP, Joshua Kelly, and then I try to get Justin Jackson on the 15.02.
I like that. I'm not sure what to think there, but I just like Eckler, so I don't really worry about it. Preston Williams, last pick here in the 14th round. That's as far as we're going to go tonight. I like that pick.
Same.
Off ACL, but at this point, what do you think? What do you expect out of Preston this year?
I'm not sure what to expect, but I think he can definitely. I didn't remember I actually took Devontae Parker too, but he definitely has some upside. He showed us what he can do before getting injured last year. So
I think we hear a couple good reports on him. You'd be thrilled with him at that round.
Preston Williams, when he was on the field, he was having a really sneaky good season last year. So I think taking him with the 14th round pick is just right. I mean, really good upside, probably a pretty safe floor, and you hardly paid anything for him in the draft.
I remember last summer I was really kind of poo-pawing the idea of Cooper Kupp coming back so early from an ACL. I was downplaying Emmanuel Sanders with an Achilles. I just didn't see how that was going to happen. I don't know anymore. He's young. He's younger than those guys. If he's putting in the work, he's going to hit. I like it too. I like it a lot. So last time we looked through, we looked back at kind of the teams and our own teams. So we'll start there. I want a little bit of a retrospective on your own team. Quick summary here, a couple minutes of how your draft went. Crocker, you've had some time to think here since you took your last pick. We'll start it off with you.
You know what? Like I'm good with Zeke as an RB1. I really like Ertz. I feel like he has a chance to get a ton of volume. The thing I didn't like about my draft, I think instead of Cam Newton, I probably should have taken best available running back. Like I would have, maybe James White. Jeez, I don't know. Like I feel like I needed another running back. I'm not exactly sure where I would have got him in. So that's what I'm thinking about on this draft. The rest of it, I'm pretty happy with what I got, where I got. Just a little short on running back.
Okay. I think that Cam Newton kind of saved your draft, to be honest. But...
What do you mean?
Savage.
You were worried about the QB situation?
Yeah, when your quarterback one is Ryan Tannehill, that's definitely kind of a concern.
I George is right with the QB and the QB spot, and then the super flex being maybe not a QB. Like, I don't think you're going to have the same obligation to play a non QB one.
Does George have anything to say about that? What do you think about your team? About
So I'm not super worried about quarterback depth. I would have been okay with Ryan Fitzpatrick as a QB2.
Okay. I like your Zeke at 104, and so that kind of let you not have to worry about running back too bad. You got a bunch of later round rookies, high upside. I like it. Tight ends, I like it. I like your wide receiver core is pretty solid. Possibly the best here, maybe. George won't be happy about that. But yeah, I think you recovered with the kid. That's what I'm saying. The Cam Newton pick made it for me. So I like it. If it wasn't for that, it would
Okay, guys, I'm going to see you later. Thanks for the draft, man. I had a good time.
Yep. Thanks for joining us.
See you, buddy.
All right, I got
See ya.
to Josh early, so he could get out of here. George, I'm going to jump to you here since he mentioned you and your whole one quarterback strategy, which you definitely stuck to tonight. What do you think about your team?
So I think a couple of things on my draft. I'm not very happy with it. I loved getting Michael Thomas. I loved getting Russell Wilson. Like my first 4 or 5 picks, I'm perfectly fine with starting that way. Justin got me pretty good when he took Fitzpatrick and Tua on that turn. I was planning on taking Fitzpatrick as my second quarterback, just so I would have somebody as a bye week replacement for Russell Wilson. With all the negative points quarterbacks score, I truly don't think you have to play a quarterback in your super flex position. Everybody else is taking 2 or 3 quarterbacks, which is just pushing value down and down and down the charts. That leaves you, if you're not taking 3 quarterbacks and you're not really drafting a second or even a third quarterback really early, that's leaving you fantastic value to fill out the rest of your roster and your other positions. I think I kind of overcompensated by taking as many running backs as I did, where in the last draft, I loaded up on the wide receivers early and felt like I was then chasing running backs. So I did the opposite this draft. And I think I need to get a little bit better balance on that.
You kind of step behind on 2 different positions then.
Yeah.
I would add,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you brought up a good point with negative QB points. Like, maybe it's better to not put someone in at QB instead of getting someone like a Herbert. Like, maybe it's better to not play anybody at all.
Yeah, I just look at it as most people are going to have, 2 quarterbacks starting because it's super flex and that's naturally what you do. But with all the negatives for sacks and turnovers and -6 for a pick 6, like that's a lot of negative points. You get negative points for incompletions. Like there's a lot of negatives going for those quarterbacks. And I'm not sold that you have to play 2 quarterbacks in your super flex or a quarterback in your super flex to be successful in the Scott Fish Bowl this year. I think you're perfectly okay basically punting that position, taking 1 quarterback that you feel comfortable starting week in, week out, and just punting the position and getting a serviceable backup. That's what I planned on doing, but the quarterbacks just went way too fast, and I thought there was better value still on the board. And then by the time I was ready to take a second quarterback, the guys I felt comfortable taking at that time were gone.
So
It's definitely zigging when everybody else is zagging, because that's the first time, and it makes complete sense when you say it out loud. And when I think about the scoring and everything now, it makes complete sense. And I'm mad that I didn't think about it first.
It was
So
just
what do you think about your draft then? Because you took Stafford was your first one, who I like as a quarterback 1, but then you took a couple more with Drew Lock and Sam Darnold later.
Yeah, so starting off 2 tight ends is interesting. You kind of feel good through about 5 rounds, and then you start really feeling some pressure after that. Round 8 got real heavy, but I don't mind. I like. I told you when I took him, I love Matthew Stafford, but I actually really like Drew Lock this year, even more so than all the hype around Daniel Jones. I think that the Broncos really did an incredible job at building up a team of weapons around Drew Lock to set him up to succeed. And I think having Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay coming out of the backfield and being able to catch dump-off passes, I think that Drew Lock could be a real sneaky weapon in the Scott Fish Bowl. So I love him as my second QB. But where I really started feeling the pinch was, in those later rounds when I only had 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers, and how I was going to supplement the rest of my team with those guys.
I really like that Drew Lock pick. If we're looking at just like 4 point per touchdown leagues, he was QB 30 in points per game, and Scott Fish Bowl QB 19. That to me shows upside.
Thank you, Jake. I did not know that.
Got some better weapons there now, they hope. Although, I mean, they added Judy and then Hamler. It's not like he didn't already have Sutton and Fant. So maybe sometimes I think that gets overplayed.
Like I said, I really like, for this scoring especially, I really like the fact that he's got 2 fantastic running backs coming out of the backfield too. I think he might be able to really increase his completion percentage by, being able to check down to those guys. Not just throwing, jump balls to Cortland Sutton all game long and YOLO.
Well, I think you basically have 4 wide receiver ones in Kittle, Andrews, Kupp, and Lockett. When you look at that way, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
All right, who's next here? Dan, what do you think about your team? You started off with Dak Prescott, followed up with Sanders, Drake, Cooper for that stack, Mayfield as your second quarterback. What do you think about this?
I went in here with a strategy, looking at that 6th spot. If no one wanted to give me one of those first 5 guys, one of those 3 stud running backs or elite 2 quarterbacks, I'm intrigued by taking Dak, not just being a Cowboys fan, but I think the stars are aligned based on everything built around him. The Clappers out of Dallas. So I think McCarthy's going to take that team to the next level. At least I'm hoping, kicking around the tight ends a little bit, but my biggest takeaway, I have the running back depth that I love, Miles Sanders and Drake. I think they're in great situations. Again, just Cooper, supported my Dak pick early there, but all the talk that, this great crew that we got to draft with tonight talked about with the quarterbacks. I think where I lost value that I like to gain back is, maybe sliding on Baker so then I could get a Beckham or a Thielen there. And that takes a little pressure on Cooper having to come through, and then sliding on Haskins in the 10th, where maybe I could have got a Marvin Jones and Noah Fant, get some more value there just to take a little pressure off some of my picks. I like the upside though overall of the roster. Having the Hilton, Hollywood Brown, Hooper. I think I went for like a solid balanced roster, and I think I achieved that. But I just lost some value. I think reaching a little bit on that quarterback depth.
You're gonna really need those running backs to come through. You got a lot of high upside, kind of boom or bust wide receivers with even Cooper, and then Hilton, Brown, and Nicole Hardman.
Kind of just good rolling with my guys here with the upside. But like I said, there's a lot of pressure on that upside to pan out. So I was able to at least, I think, identify some areas where I could get some more solid value, just maybe get a second quarterback later, but not get Mayfield and Haskins as high as I did.
I think in these tournaments, sometimes we get too focused on like getting the guys that if they hit, they'll help us win it all. You take those guys, but you get them at good value. If you reach for them, you lose all the value that they could have given you because someone else in some other division's getting them 2-3 rounds later than you reached for them. So I don't feel like you really reached on any of these high upside guys. So they're the kinds of guys that I really think could help you propel your team if they do hit, because you didn't give up other guys to take them. They really did fall to you.
Hoping to repeat a little bit of
Nicole Hardman in the 11th, man. I love that pick.
hoping to repeat a little bit of luck last year. Like I got some upside guys. I'm looking at last year's Scott Fishbowl. It was Derrick Henry in the 4th. He had a monster year. I took Mahomes at 107 last year. That was a big pick. Cooper in the 3rd round. I had DJ Moore in the 6th. Godwin in the 7th. Miles Sanders in the 9th. I had Mark Andrews in the 10th. So I had a lot of good upside that panned out last year. Metcalf in the 13th. And it was 11-1 riding high. And I think where I lost steam last year was injuries. I had James Conner in the 2nd, who we know he busted, didn't have a good year. And I look later in the Scott Fishbowl draft, I had a lot of just garbage with the late picks. So hopefully I didn't tail off. I think like this year's late picks in this mock that we just did, maybe there's a little more upside, like you mentioned with Hardman. I think Cohen's got a solid role locked in there. Knox has some upside. Judy's got more upside. So we'll see how it goes.
At the 101 fantasy champ, Christian McCaffrey, easy pick, I guess. After that, Jones, Wentz, Chris Carson, Thielen, Goff, Woods, Parker, Fuller, and Fant is your first tight end in the 10th. What was your feelings on how this turned out?
Well, I really enjoyed this draft. This draft really reaffirmed my strategy of getting solid running backs early and often. To be able to start with Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, and Chris Carson. Carson, yes, has the injury risk, but there is such a huge drop-off eventually when it comes to these running backs, and there are such great later round wide receiver values. Now, obviously, Devontae Adams falls to me at 212. I take him. My biggest weakness I see is obviously my tight ends. Jake did a great job of sniping Hayden Hurst and Jared Cook, who I would have been happy with was my tight end 1. But, overall, I'm pretty happy with both my running back core and my wide receiver core. The tight ends and the quarterbacks do confuse me. I've never played in the fishbowl before, and the scoring system's so unique. But I'm happy with Carson Wentz. I'm learning that you really need to, or I need to, at the 101, need to get a quarterback at the 2-3 turn. Because, you just see how quickly they flew up the board. Don't love Goff.
If those receivers you took stay healthy, that's a really intriguing roster you have there. The upside of the Fuller and Parker, Preston Williams late.
Thank you.
Really be nice.
You got 1,399 people you got to beat. It's really going to have to be a risky lineup if you want to win this thing, and guys with tremendous upside. So,
yeah, I feel like where you took quarterbacks wasn't a problem. I wouldn't be happy with which ones it turned out to be. It's almost like you could have, but you couldn't even reached early because you were at the end of the kind of a run of tight ends there. You ended up taking Thielen and then Goff. When it came all the way back around, a bunch of them had disappeared by then.
right.
I'm not sure what else you could have done unless you would have had to give up on Chris Carson, basically.
Yeah, I wasn't willing to do that. So it is what it is. And, there's going to have to be sacrifices in the real thing. So that's where I'm willing to make them, I guess. Hopefully I'll get a Teddy on the turn and Jake at the 101 and not in my division. So
Hopefully you don't have Jake the Snake here sniping you.
we've been talking for over a month now. So I know all his picks. He knows all mine. I did the same thing the last time we did this to him. So
Yeah, you did.
How you feel about yours, Jake?
So I think I had the best first 3 picks with Adams going into 2nd, Hill being in the 3rd. But then I really screwed the pooch by going Jimmy Garoppolo instead of Chris Carson, because I think if I switched those 2 guys, that could have made my draft. Because, we look at my running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Darius Guice, Raheem Mostert, Latavius Murray, Joshua Kelly, like all risky, all questionable workloads coming their way at the start of the season. So getting that Chris Carson early would have been nice. Other than that, I'm happy with my draft. I think it fell how I wanted it to, and Debo in the 11th, I like that pick. So what do y'all think?
It's hard to beat that Debo pick.
I was surprised to see Debo go ahead of Brandon Ayuk because I everything else I've been doing, I've been seeing him fly off the board, but that's not Scott Fishbowl related. So I think the value that Debo is going to bring after those first couple of weeks, if he misses, the start of the season, is going to really come through.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the juxtaposition of Fantasy Champs 101 and you at 102 here, where he took 3 running backs in the first 4, and you have none. You have 2 quarterbacks and 2 wide receivers. Is really interesting, and how that affected the rest of your draft.
Mm-hmm.
You were now reaching on your running backs. So, setting the top 4 picks aside, now looking at just what came after that, it's like you're going Jonathan Taylor. Who do you rather have, Jonathan Taylor or Adam Thielen? So I'm just going one for one here, like Darius Geis or Robert Woods.
That one is definitely Woods all day.
On both of those, it feels like Fantasy Champ comes out on top. But somehow you did flip the script on him later, like he was saying. Then you got those tight ends ahead of him. Hurst over Parker, that's not too crazy. Mostert over Fuller, that's not unreasonable.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I was just saying it's another example, like similar to what I felt. Like, you went for that quarterback. I like Garoppolo. I was a little nervous without Debo, but you just lost that value that you needed to keep up. I think you hit it right on the head there. If you had Chris Carson, now you're a little more balanced and strong at running back, and you still would have been strong at quarterback.
Yeah, and I was just going to add that I feel like the 1.01 and 1.02 are just going to hate each other the whole draft, and same with the 1.11 and the 1.12. Like, you're just going to hate each other.
Yeah, that happened quite a bit.
And I feel like Stephanie's team, I'm not sure if he's still around. It kind of came out sneaky good. If maybe he could have squeezed in a tight end sooner, but it's maybe that's because he passed on tight end completely that the rest of the positions came out looking so nice. But when you got Barkley, Montgomery, and Hunt are solid in the 6th and 7th. Breeze and Brady, Julio and Evans, Boyd, Deontay Johnson as your 4th wide receiver. I feel like he did a pretty good job kind of just playing off of you two, picking up the scraps of what was the best available after you two.
What do y'all think about switching Deontay Johnson with Dallas Goedert? I think that would be an interesting little switcheroo.
Reaching for him there.
It is a little reach, but I think Goddard has the most upside out of Gesicki, Smith, and the rest of the guys picked.
So I think if he would have took Deontay Johnson and switched him with Jonnu Smith, I think I like that a lot better.
Yeah.
Give me Goddard, or even if he would have gone for, just shooting for the moon with one of those last picks and taken Eric Ebron instead of Kyle Rudolph, I think that would be a little bit more explosive as well.
Yeah.
You are speaking my language.
Yeah.
I think we go back to the 10th and see his James White pick. As much as I like it, he's got Barkley, Montgomery, and Hunt. I feel like he's strong at running back. He could have secured a tight end there, or even shored up a wide receiver in like Debo. Yeah, he didn't really need to go with James White or Philip Lindsay. I feel like if we kind of like we were talking about how Fantasy Champs and Jacob, you go in different ways early round, whether you're going hard on running back or wide receiver. I think you gotta really run with that, and whatever you pick is going to be your strength. You need to let that strength in those early rounds carry you, and not keep taking those positions later, and you kind of dilute the value that you got by taking them early. Yeah.
That's a great point, because I think if we see OBJ or maybe A-Rob over Jonathan Taylor, switch Jimmy Garoppolo with Chris Carson, and then switch Darius Geis with maybe A.J. Brown, that's an interesting roster. It sucks at running back, but I like it. Sort of run with whatever you get strength at the beginning.
What is your you guys' favorite pick by somebody here? We'll try to close it out, George, starting with you. Favorite pick by somebody that's not on your team. I know. Michael Thomas was great, but
You can't go wrong with Michael Thomas that late in the first. You just can't. My favorite pick, just quickly going through, I think the AJ Brown at 704 was a really good pick. He stacked him. Crocker stacked AJ Brown and Tannehill, which I love. And the value of getting him in the 7th round is phenomenal. So I think that AJ Brown pick was a really, really good pick.
okay, Dan, what do you think?
I'll stay on the same roster there and go right before that with Keenan Allen. Not having actual cheat sheets on me, just going by the sleeper app. I was like, oh wait, Keenan was there. I thought that was a steal at 6.9.
Philip.
That was actually exactly what I was looking at too. Once Dan started bringing that up, I started scrolling trying to find something else. But it's hard to not give props to somebody snagging Keenan Allen there at the back end of the 6th round. I mean, that's an awesome value for that position.
I'm pretty sure whoever took Keenan Allen in the draft we did last time, the first time we did this, he was my answer to this question as well. Whoever took him, I believe, in the 5th or 6th round. So that's someone, I guess, just to keep an eye on. Just don't lose track of him in that ADP list. That he's still going to be there. Fantasy champ, who's your favorite?
I'm going to say Marvin Jones at the 10-8. I really like Marvin Jones. I think he's as solid as they come. And did they sack him with Stafford? No, the guy that got Stafford didn't get him.
No, I was looking at Marvin Jones hard, and then he went right before I could grab him.
Yeah, so I like Jones.
Okay, Jacob.
So mine's actually an earlier pick. It's Drew Brees at the 2.10. I really think Drew Brees should be the number 3 quarterback taken in this Scott Fishbowl. He's been QB2 in points per game in 2019 and 2018, and I just love that upside at 2.10.
As a 103 slot, I feel that like Drew Brees should always fall to the 210.
I feel like he actually could in like maybe 60 to 70% of drafts.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, it's going to depend. Even the first time we did this to this time, we saw some of the difference. I mean, I believe I got Mark Andrews at the 303 the first time we did this. This time he's going 204. There's going to be a lot of variation these first 2-3 rounds on how highly the owners are valuing quarterback and tight end. I think everything else is going to there's going to be a lot of running backs. We know that. But we're going to see who reaches. And it's not even reaches. It's just who's going to take that first plunge in on tight ends early and who's going to just stack up quarterbacks early too.
Just a quick question for you guys while I have you. At the 2-3 turn, would you have gone Wentz or Murray or Ryan?
For me, I'm going Murray. I think Murray's got the best upside now that he's got DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
He's mobile. He's got Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, a plethora of good receiving backs too with Kenyon Drake, Eno Benjamin, and Chase Edmonds. I think Murray has a lot of potential to surprise us in 2020.
Yeah, I'd second that. And even with Matty Ice there in Atlanta, all that firepower around him, they just seem a little safer than me than Carson Wentz. That wide receiver core in Philly, you're just relying on a lot of guys staying healthy, I think, to take them at that point. So I see the upside, but I feel safer and have an upside with Murray and Matty Ice.
With having the clarity of the draft being over and looking back, I think, honestly, I probably would have punted quarterback at 3-1 and took one of the next 3 wide receivers that went with Tyreek, Julio, or Chris Godwin. And then at the 5-1, I think I would have drafted Ryan Tannehill instead of Adam Thielen. But, I mean, that's just, I've got hindsight. It's 2020 now. But I think that I would have liked the team a lot better with Tannehill at the 5-1 and then one of those receivers at the 3-1.
You read my mind, George, because that's exactly what I was going to say. And like you said, it is hindsight. We look back and, I talked about my pick in the 4th round and how I wish I could have changed it.
Yep.
And I also think at the 6-12, it's very likely that you could also get Teddy Bridgewater, which makes the draft even more appealing. So
Tannehill Bridgewater, you mean?
yeah. So like getting the Tyreek Hill at 3.01 and then get Tannehill at 5.01 and Bridgewater at the 6-12 over Goff.
Now, does Tannehill worry anybody else in this particular scoring format? Because with all the negative points that quarterbacks can score, plus the low volume that Tannehill is actually involved in that offense, he does not have a lot of room for error. If he throws up a jump ball to A.J. Brown a couple times a game, that could really sort of tank your week.
So last year, with the games that he played, and I think somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Tannehill was like the number 9 overall quarterback in this scoring for the Scott Fish Bowl.
But that is that's betting on hyper efficiency.
Yeah. Well,
Tannehill was a stud in his games. I give you that, but he, like I said, he has very small room for error, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was a good quarterback in Miami pre Adam Gase. Like Adam Gase has this magic ability to make people really bad. And then you get teams like the New York Jets who go, hey, I want you to come make my team bad too. So I don't get it, but pre Adam Gase in Miami, Tannehill was actually a pretty decent quarterback.
I'd also add that I've done a lot of points per game stuff looking at the QBs, and Tannehill was the 7th QB in points per game in the rank, and then in like normal, he was QB 9. So he does get that bump in the Scott Fish Bowl scoring. I do agree that the efficiency is somewhat of a concern, but I just lean a little bit more towards the upside guy, which to me is Tannehill, over someone like Brady at that point.
Yeah, and the thing that really concerns me about Wentz is he going to make it the whole season? I mean, Ryan Tannehill's had his own issues with injuries, granted, but it just seems like every year Wentz is missing 3-4, games a season.
Appreciate the insight.
The question was kind of about how after what Drew Brees, should he have gone Kyler Murray or Carson Wentz on the 2-3 turn? Now, usually Kyler Murray, am I correct? Usually goes before Drew Brees.
No, not necessarily.
No, I would say no on that.
I guess not in this scoring in this setup, but they're pretty close. I would say those two are the last for like my tier, and there's a whole tier after that I really just don't want any part of. I kind of am disagreeing with a lot of you guys, I guess, because I feel like at that point I'm just gonna wait and not take any quarterback until we come back to your 4-5 turn. And then I'm 4-5 turn, I'm grabbing like a Brady in a car, or I'm doing that kind of thing. I'm gonna stack up other positions in those earlier rounds. Then, if I can't get top guys, I'm gonna get top guys in other positions. Tight ends went early here, but quite often one of those top 4 is available there on that turn, so you have that option. Or you could just go with a solid wide receiver, have 2 running backs and a wide receiver. And now you can go those back-to-back quarterbacks in the 4th and 5th because you have some ones at the other positions. That's how I approach it.
I do have a question for everybody. In my own, I made some like Scott Fish Bowl rankings. I actually would want Matthew Stafford over Kyler Murray. Is that crazy to y'all?
Pretty close.
I mean, that obviously
answer no, not at all. I think what Murray brings that Stafford doesn't so much is just the rushing. But yeah, in terms of pure passing, I would take Matthew Stafford every time.
Yeah, it's not crazy. Like we assume Kyler's gonna be able to run a little bit more this season. You add in DeAndre Hopkins to what he already has, so he's got weapons all over the place now. So no, we expect a big jump from Kyler, but he might not have that big jump that we're all expecting him to have. So no, it's not crazy to say I would take Matthew Stafford over Kyler. It's not that crazy at all.
To me, that tier break, like I was talking about, after Drew Brees and Kyler Murray, It's that Wentz, it's the Aaron Rodgers, it's the Josh Allen. Those are the guys I'm not really interested in having at all. It's then you can get to kind of Matt Ryan. As soon as Matt Ryan goes, I realize, okay, I want to take somebody, and then I can get a Matthew Stafford or Kirk Cousins or Jimmy G, Tom Brady. That in between, like the top tier and the next list of guys I was saying I don't really want those in betweens.
Do y'all think Josh Allen, and we can not answer this if y'all don't want to, but I feel like Josh Allen, no matter where you pick him in the first 5 rounds, is a reach.
Correct.
That's how I feel. Like I'd pick Derek Carr before Josh Allen.
Yeah, in this scoring format, yes. Like I get the rushing ability and the safe floor with his rushing, but his accuracy is atrocious, and I'm just not sold that he's going to be very good in this scoring format.
He was decent the last couple of years. If you go look back at the scoring, he made up for it with rushing first downs. Yes, his accuracy didn't quite hit that needed level, but or completion percentage, I should say. So I see what you're saying, but I don't know. First 5, I wouldn't mind him. Like I said, I would stack on the 4-5 turn. I would stack 2 quarterbacks. Josh Allen, I wouldn't mind being one of them.
He's intriguing with Diggs coming in there. There's a lot of big playability too. If Dawson Knox takes the next step, the running game's a little bit better. Diggs is there now. If they retain Smokey Brown, I mean, there's a lot of explosiveness there. So could he take that next step? It'll be interesting to watch.
That's a great point.
For
Could
sure.
have him in Dynasty, but for a redraft tourney, I don't hate him. I'm just not gonna take him as a 1 because I feel like at that point where you have to take him, there's a top shelf, number 1 at a different position there for me.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump. I got to get up early. Good talking with you.
Yeah,
Well,
same
we're
here.
just gonna wrap it up then. Thanks for joining on.
Thank you,
Everybody
Josh.
who's watching, who came in, thanks for joining us. Everybody who came in as a host, as a guest at least, not a host. We got Philip. He just jumped out on us. Dan, Jacob, George, Josh, Beryl, all the guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Went a little long here, at least on the end, but I think kind of the looking back part is kind of the most fun, I think.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Fun time. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a good evening.
One we're gonna do. Maybe I can get one in on Thursday before the real SFB mock goes off. I didn't get a chance to show it. We got Scott Fishbowl. I saw Dan's down here. There we go. I like it. Go check out fantasycares.net. Don't forget that is what this is all about. Should have mentioned it at the top, but I think we all know already.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Have a good night, gentlemen.
Thanks for hosting, Josh.
End of that broadcast, and you're all out because we took way too long.